Hey guys, Editor Ethan here. This is not the opening. This is just a little bit of informational for the beginning and also for YouTube purposes. I got a bit of a strike before I was able to upload this video, but this video will include concept art for the Splinter Cell remake. I do not own or claim ownership of any of the photos that you are about to see in this video. These have been supplied to me via Ubisoft and Ubisoft Toronto. I do have permission to use these photos as they are concept of art and concept of gameplay actuality. Enjoy. If you haven't already seen these, hopefully this is a treat for you guys, but enjoy the episode, and we'll see you at the end. Bye. Peace. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. This video is launching on the last day of May. It is May the 31st, 2025 on a Saturday, which is pretty much getting prepped and ready for all of the news that is probably going to slam dunk this channel when Summer Games Fest and Xbox Games Fest starts to happen. So be ready and get ready for some videos. We're going to be trying to cover as much of that as possible. So I figured we'd do some sort of video to talk about that, and in preparation of Summer Game Fest, it's a good little segue for today's topic, and today's topic is none other than Ubisoft planting the seed and letting everybody know that there is something that will be announced at Summer Games Fest, at least from Ubisoft's team. I know that there's a few other games that Ubisoft might be looking to show off this summer, but the number one headliner is, of course, none other than Splinter Cell's Sam Fisher. Now, they did so in a very peculiar way. They have only shown off a weird PNG file image of his close-up of Sam Fisher's face. Here it is. There he is. I almost said she. There he is. Not much to go off of. It's just on X, aka Twitter, and they got like the eye and the mouth emoji things there. So not sure what to say of this. We know that in active development there is a remake of Splinter Cell, but we don't really know too much outside of these two things. Number one, there is a Splinter Cell game being remade, and it is a remake of supposedly the first game, though I have had conflicting reports during my little research here that they are going to be mashing up Splinter Cell 1 and Splinter Cell Pandora's Tomorrow. Now we'll see how that pans out, if that's actual fact, but it looks like they are trying to lengthen the game a little bit in terms of like remake, because if you really get down to the nitty-gritty of the first game, it's not as long as you would expect it to be. And the only other news that we know is that Ubisoft Toronto is headlining the project, and that they are using the Snowdrop engine. Now, I assume that the game is going to look pretty decent. The Snowdrop engine has looked pretty great for The Division and The Division 2. It has also looked pretty great for the Mario Rabbids Kingdom battles. I know those seem very, rubbery in look and appeal, but let's face it, if you're going to be messing around with the lighting, especially in a Splinter Cell game where lighting matters, and shadows and dark corners, and being able to manipulate the light and the light textures, that can really work really well, especially if you have an engine that basically glorifies lighting in such a way. So hopefully Snowdrop engine works well for this project. I hope it looks great, and hopefully they have something to show off for Summer's Games Fest outside of just, hey, we're making this game. They really didn't say too much outside of that they were taking on applicants in 2023 in a job posting that was not necessarily mainstream news media for video games. The question now becomes is, how do fans feel about the remake for Splinter Cell? Do you want some Splinter Cell? Do you want Splinter Cell to return? Are you excited to hop into Splinter Cell? I asked one of our viewers and a longtime friend of mine, Aiden, if he was looking forward to the remake. He is a massive Splinter Cell fan, and instead of me getting into what the nitty-gritty of Splinter Cell, I figured I'd just let him speak on behalf of what he's looking forward to in a remake, and he couldn't have put it better himself. He is a mega fan of Splinter Cell. So without further ado, here's Aiden.
For the remake, I'd like to see them incorporate some of the mechanics from Chaos Theory. Mainly the sound measurement system and having stuff like lockpicking and the optic cable being in the interaction menu rather than being separate items. I'd also love to see Ironside return to the role as Fisher, as I personally think he's done a great job of playing him throughout all of his appearances, of course except for Blacklist. I'm really reaching for something here, but if they could bring back the classic Spies v Mercenaries in the remake, I think it would be great and introduce a new kind of market for Splinter Cell. Even if they don't or just can't put SVM into the remake, they should, at least I think, they should be able to make some decent money if they release it as a standalone game, kind of on the same level as Rainbow Six. What they did with the original was revolutionary and groundbreaking for the stealth action genre, and I think it would be a breath of fresh air in a market that's dominated by live service and free-to-play games that depend on crossovers to stay relevant. With the original controls from Splinter Cell on the original Xbox, if they map it so that it's more up-to-date, so like the black and white buttons are for RB and LB, that would also make it more easier for new players to understand.
Aiden couldn't have put it better. I think he speaks for everyone when we say that, of course, we want to see Ironside return as the titular Sam Fisher himself. Of course, I didn't mind whoever the hell was doing the voice in Blacklist, but yeah, let's be honest, that ain't no Ironside. And I think it is pretty much a given that he will return as Sam for the remake. We're all hoping that's the case, but you know, anything can happen in this thing. I don't see why not. But fingers crossed that he does. That's our number one takeaway. Of course, quality of life is definitely going to be part of the remake. You're going to see new controls, new mapping things. I feel like to keep people, you know, engaged, especially veterans such as Aiden, have options, you know. Do what Halo does, where you have Halo 3 controls, Halo Reach controls, and then now the new modern Halo 4, 5, and Infinite controls. Because me personally, when I get into Halo, I almost always change it into Recon, so that way I can play, you know, how I always remember Halo in Halo 2 and Halo 3. That's the era that I grew up in, so melee pressing B just makes sense to me. Holding the right bumper to pick up guns makes sense to me. Pressing X, that fucking confuses me. Now, I guess if I didn't have the option to change that, I would probably, you know, my brain would map and figure it all out. But that's to say, you know, having that option for me in Halo makes me, you know, all the more happy to play Halo Infinite and Halo 4 and Halo 5 Guardians, you know? So what does this have to do with Splinter Cell? Well, the same thing applies. Some of us have been playing Splinter Cell for decades and have been playing the game verbatim almost yearly. In Aiden's case, Aiden is currently playing it on PC, so he tells me. He's playing Chaos Theory as we speak. Shout out to Aiden, and thank you so much for contributing your voice to this video. Another point that Aiden brought up, which was absolutely perfect, though, and I think it's well on its way, and I have a little bit of tidbit that I want to add, similar to his theory of spies versus mercenaries. Now, you know, take it or leave it, multiplayer in games, single-player games, whatever, you know. You know, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. But I think it would be a great idea for modern audiences that really kind of need that extra tidbit and sprinkle of multiplayer so they can go fuck around with their friends and have fun and enjoy in a multiplayer setting. Almost every game kind of needs a multiplayer now, unfortunately, in order to, you know, get the casual marketplace to come and show some interest in a single player game. But I think it would also be beneficial if it launches similar to how the Resident Evil remakes and bundle packages have done in the last couple of releases, specifically Resident Evil 3 Remake and Resident Evil 8 Village. Resident Evil 3 Remake came with bundled in as a separate standalone with Resident Evil Resistance, and Resident Evil 8 Village came in with Resident Evil Reverse. Now, these games are not very good. They're cringy little additional, you know, whatever the fuck, right? It's shit that Capcom threw at the wall. But what does it have to do with Ubisoft? Well, Spies vs. Mercenaries, the blueprint's already there. Hell, I mean, you already technically have a mode where you could have it in first person if you need to, and just re-skin X Defiant, even though that's getting closed down, you know? Do something, because I feel like having a pack in as well would be great. In terms of achievement, of course I want them to separate the two. You know, it'd be great for, but I have a suspicion that it's going to be part of the game regardless, if it ends up happening. But that being said, I think the other thing that Aiden brought up was the fact that they're going to remap buttons. I remember I was talking with him about this as well, but I think it's beautiful that they can definitely fix up the things. Again, this game used to be an Xbox. Most of these games were Xbox original. I know there's PlayStation and Wii and GameCube ports of these, but like, let's face it, the Xbox versions were king. And you know, some of us grew up playing and pressing the black and white buttons to swap between things or do different attributes in the game. So hopefully they'll find a new home for that. Of course, LB and RB were not part of the control layout back then. I'd have to play Splinter Cell, Conviction, and Blacklist, and Double Agent again, just to kind of feel what it was like on a 360, and maybe even fuck around on the Wii version of Double Agent and see how that goes. But let me know, guys, what are your thoughts on Splinter Cell and a remake coming? It's definitely coming. He's going to be here. Sam Fisher is returning. Do you think that they're going to just focus on the first game? Do you think maybe that there is grounds for them to try and fit in the narrative of Pandora tomorrow, or do you think Ubisoft is going to do the scum thing and add on the storyline of Pandora Tomorrow as a DLC? I don't want to give them any ideas, but Pandora Tomorrow is a very short game. I'm understandable if they decide to pack that in as either post content for the game to, you know, deal with this modern way of post content for video games now, and in order to attain relevancy for longer than a year. But let's face it, whatever happens, I'm excited for new Splinter Cell. I'm excited for this series to come back, and hopefully this gives people that are, you know, haven't exactly jumped into Splinter Cell after it's being laid dormant for literally a decade at this point. Well, let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think maybe they can incorporate more of the books to try and pad out the length of some of these games, including Pandora Tomorrow, should they continue to do that? Do you think maybe they're going to do a trilogy? Who knows? We'll see how it all ends up when Splinter Cell gets announced here at Summer Games Fest, which is just a week away at the time of this recording. Let me know if you guys liked this video, if you enjoyed what you heard, if you have thoughts and theories on upcoming things or projects that maybe I haven't talked about in several videos. Let me know. I want to include everyone's voices when it comes to these sort of things, especially Splinter Cell, and I knew nobody better than Aiden, who is a big fan of Splinter Cell. So again, thank you so much, Aiden, for contributing your voice to this video, and we love to hear from all of you guys. But with all that said, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, share with a friend. You know the drill. This stuff is cringe by the end of these videos, but thank you so much. I implore you to click on another video if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.